Okay, this is the lower die subassembly, and much like previously, this is going to involve a lot of inserts as we go through on this. And so we just want to make sure that things line up, and that's going to be our primary purpose in this. Occasionally we might have to do an offset to get things to line up the right way, but mostly just be an insert. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the springs and line them up with these holes here and then move up from there to start. So on Inventor, I've got all my parts laid out here. Make sure that I get the right springs in the right spot. Make sure that you're checking on those. So I'm going to insert, and using this hole as a guide, I'm going to find this spring over here, and I'm just going to look for a section that is round on that and line them up like that. Go ahead and apply. I do the same thing on the other side with my other spring. And apply. Now, even though these circles are different sizes, it lines them up just fine. And that's where everything is working off of, is that center piece there. So that's going to be important. Now this next bit, as these go together, they're going to go together slightly differently. So I want to first put this section here into this other section. So I'm going to look for a circle on there that can line them up about right. Make sure they're facing the right direction. And that's good. That's what we want that to sit like for that. Then we're going to use that bottom hole again. But this time we're going to do it on the bottom hole here that's a threaded hole. And I'm going to make sure I line these up right. So it looks about like that. We see a little bit of the spring around there, and that's good, holding that up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and apply on that, and then we're going to come on here and get our screw and place it in there the way that it goes. And I'm not real concerned that it's all the way set in. We can adjust that. We can use the offset to put it in a little bit, but that way we can see where it goes, and that's probably a pretty good idea for this. Alright, so the next bit is finishing off the other side here, and so we got a similar thing. This is fitting inside of the larger piece, and then we're going to line up the threaded holes on the bottom of that. Make sure I get the right holes on the right sides so that nothing's going through anything else. And that's looking pretty good. And we can see that spring even fits inside there like it's supposed to. And then we're going to get on our screw here. And we'll set in there the right way. This time, for example, I'm going to do some offset on that to change the size, spacing of it a little bit. And as I add that offset, I can see it goes in a little bit deeper than I wanted there, so I'm going to put it only about a 0.1 inch, and that sets in there. And that's about the way that should look, nice and snug in there. So either way, as long as the screw's in the right spot, it can be here or it can be slightly out. Just don't want it to go too far out. All right. Now we have these nuts and how they fit on here. So I'm going to line those up. First, I'm going to put the nut onto the face here. Now that means that when I put this on, I'm going to use the bottom side of that nut so that it lines up properly. Zoom in here a little bit so I can see. Make sure I get one of the flat outer edges, not one of the concave going in bits. And then make sure it's right on there. And apply that. That's looking good. Then we'll go ahead and insert our stand here. That support, we're actually going to look for it to be down lower here as well. And that's going to go in. And that should actually go in a little bit further than that. So we want to see. It's not coming out to that hole. So let's try this a little bit differently. Instead, let's constrain it to the bottom there with our insert. So we'll use that bottom circle there with the bottom here. And that lines up much nicer. And that's the way that should go. That shaft will go in there and it will screw into place, and when the nut will hold it from sliding around at all. Okay, so the same thing on the other side. And notice that these have two different sides to them. So make sure that you're putting the right springs on the right side. Look at how it's drawn and look at the right orientation. I had a 1 and a 2 on mine. If you don't have that on yours, you just need to know which side is which. Look at how the part is laid out. And last little bit, there'll be a washer in here. And the nut that goes on it. And that will finish your lower die subassembly. And that's how that should look as you're going. So make sure you save it as that. And name it the right way so we can use it later on.